Chapter 784. Wilbur smiled faintly and said, "That won't be necessary yet. I can't resolve the curse, but I can stop it from spreading and extend your father's life." "What should we do?" Jean asked. Wilbur slowly replied, "We'll go along with it, and it'll be fine in the end. Don't worry too much." Jean slowly nodded when he heard that. Santino also stayed silent. "According to your analysis, that person might be hired by your brothers. Now, we have to find that person," said Wilbur. Jean asked, "How do we find that person?" "I'm sure that person is around your brothers. You should spread the rumor that your father has awakened and ask your brothers to discuss some matters at your father's house. I believe they'll show up very soon," Wilbur explained slowly. Jean frowned. He said after a while, "But my father is still unconscious. What should we do next?" "Just leave it to me," said Wilbur nonchalantly. Jean frowned and pondered for a long while. Eventually, he sighed and said, "As you wish." He had no other choice, otherwise he would not have requested Wilbur's assistance. Wilbur nodded and said, "Bring your father along too. We'll go to your father's house." "My father too?" Jean asked, feeling puzzled. Wilbur said, "Just do as I say." Then, Wilbur entered Mr. Xander's soul again with his spirit energy. He used his spirit energy to lock the curse and kept it restrained so it would not engulf the soul. Santino pushed Jean's father out of the hospital room with the help of the bodyguards outside the door. They arrived at Xander Villa. The villa was where Jace Xander stayed. It was also where Xander Korb discussed major matters. Jean was seated in the main seat in the living room, taking his father's place. Wilbur was sitting next to him, while Santino stood behind Jean. Jean's mother, Yolanda Xander, was also sitting by Jean's side. Yolanda stared at Jean furiously. She asked, "Jean, are you trying to replace your father while he's still alive?" "It's not what you think, Mother. I have a good reason for doing this," Jean said in a troubled tone. Yolanda asked angrily, "What reason could you have? Who the hell is that person next to you? What are you up to?" Wilbur felt speechless. She clearly misunderstood her son. However, they could not clarify things to her just yet. They could not let her know. Jean was worried that his mother could not handle the truth. Yolanda ordered the servants to leave when she saw Jean's arrival. Jean also told her about the upcoming meeting with his brothers. Jean took her husband's seat like he was the man of the house, and that act enraged her. The youngest son was her least favorite son. She felt like Jean had a cowardly personality and did not take on any important responsibilities in the company. He was not as useful in comparison to his brothers. They were leagues apart. She would have kicked Jean out of the family if he was not her son. Moreover, she could not believe that Jean removed her husband from the hospital. She felt like it was a sign that Jean wanted her husband to die. Yolanda felt like Jean was a disrespectful and ungrateful son. Just the thought alone made her cry.